Why won't you let it go, let it go? What we had was never personal, personal. Nothing you could better save your breath, leave your regrets behind. Invincible, you're not invincible.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Approach with Caution podcast. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm your host, Adam Warfeld. Beside me, I got my boy, Cody.
What's going on?
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
Beside me, I got my boy, Alex.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Today on the Casting Couch, we got Cody. How you doing, Cody?
Good, man. How are you guys?
We got a standing ovation for Cody this time.
All two of my friends.
Oh, we're having a great time. So as you can see, it's a little more jovial. We don't have a guest on today. We're gonna give Cody his special, like we gave Alex his a couple of weeks ago. We're gonna talk a little bit about how we met, how you and Alex met, and kind of the stuff that we do on the regular.
Yeah.
So Cody, where are you from? You're from around here?
Yeah, Allentown, born and raised.
Born and raised.
I feel like everybody in this area.
Not,
Not you?
No.
Okay.
I'm Easton.
Oh,
Easton.
Easton.
Yeah.
ABE area is big in this crew.
Mm-hmm.
Easton's coming a long way, okay?
It is. It's
It
still
is.
a little rough.
Is it? Yeah.
So growing up, I know you were kind of a race fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember which came first? The chicken or the egg?
I do believe it was wrestling, but my grandfather, every time I'd go up there, they always had like the cutouts. Like I had a Kyle Petty cutout.
Oh,
Believe it or not,
Sick
not a lot of Kyle
mustache?
Petty fans. It was the Hot Wheels Kyle Petty. The sick fire suit. Still have it to this day. Should have brought it. Could have kept him in the corner. But you know, what does Kyle Petty have to do with this?
The fuck does
He's
Kyle
petty.
Petty got to do with
Kyle
this?
Petty have to do with this? And then after that, it just kind of, I forget where we were, but my mom and my dad at the time, they used to go to Ag Hall all the time in Allentown, and ECW would be there. There's actually a photo of Bubba Ray Dudley signing my dad's shirt. They were super close with like Sandman during that time and everything. And then, believe it or not, I actually grew really into the Hurricane. I thought the
Okay.
Hurricane was so sick. The green and black. Before I was like DX. I was like, no, those are Hurricanes colors.
Right.
What is that about? I had a Hurricane cake, I think, for like my 4th birthday.
That's
So I had to see if my mom could find pictures of it. But yeah, it was always those two that stuck. It was always racing and wrestling.
nice.
Okay.
And now you grew up a lot around cars. You know, your family's a big car person. So talk a little about that. How did they get into cars? You know, was it a NASCAR thing that they were into and passed on to you as a fan? So how did they get into like the cars and stuff?
Well, way back, it's going to make it sound old. I wasn't around at the time, but around the 60s, my grandfather was always around cars. Always. I do believe after school, he decided that he wanted to go into the auto body field, and he started doing auto body work, different types of mechanical work on cars. And it was always around like the 55 Chevys, the Chryslers, the Pontiacs, Fords, all that stuff. And it just kind of stuck. And him and my uncle have done a lot of work for some really cool people. Paul Tuttle from American Choppers, Paul Sr., as everybody knows him.
Yeah.
They did an Oldsmobile for him. They've done a lot of Oldsmobiles for a guy named Mark who lived up in Penn Argyl at the time. He owned Color Right Paint Company, which is an OEM paint for cars. And it just kind of stuck. Once he retired, my uncle started working at Deku's Auto Body right here in Catasauqua. And then it just kind of followed suit throughout the whole thing, and it's just stuck. So now he's proud owner of a 52 Henry J. Gasser, 55 Chevy, 87 Monte Carlo, 66 Corvette Stingray.
Still waiting on that ride though, by the way.
Yeah, we got to
If
get
you're
Alex.
listening.
We got to get Alex
I want
to
to ride
ride
in the
in
Henry J. Come on,
J.
make
But,
it happen.
yeah, so I went to school for automotive, went to Bethlehem Votech for that, because I just figured it came natural. You know what I mean? I just been around it, so that's how all that got started in my younger days.
So you got into the cars. Is that what led you into the NASCAR thing? From like the family got into the cars, building cars, and like, oh, cool, race cars, or was it kind of just you guys were looking for a sport and NASCAR kind of hopped out to you?
Every year, my mom and her friends would go up to Pocono Raceway. They would be in the grandstands, and I just remember me not being able to go because I was too young, but it would always be on a Sunday. I would never have school. My mom would always make sure to call me and be like, she'd be like, all right, Cody, the cars are coming by. And she would hold the phone out, and the cars would come flying by.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I remember the first phone call I think I got from her was the year Steve Parkadale Jr. had the nasty crash
Yeah.
coming down the backstretch. And she would always, beg. You had the Kodak cameras, you had the roll. We would always go to CVS, get it developed, and I would just sit there and look through them. If we're able to, with our technology we have to get to put pictures up somewhere in there, there's a picture of me. I always climb out of my mom's red Grand Prix, and I had a Letterman Dale Jr. jacket, and I'd be putting Coke, water on top of the car.
Man.
I'd stand up, throw the water everywhere. It was just
And the hats too.
the hat dance. You go through all the different hats you have.
40 later.
And from the episode coming up that we have with Jenny, good friend of yours, she described the feeling of like such a family oriented sport.
Yeah.
Like, your grandfather watches it. My grandfather has maybe not 100, but close to 100 Dale Earnhardt diecasts, because his era, everybody was Dale Earnhardt. Mm-hmm. And then when my uncle was born, that was the Jeff Gordon era. So there was the tension in the house. So, Rainbow Warrior versus the Intimidator. But it just always stuck, and they've kind of drifted off from it with the changes in the sport that like you and I have seen. Between how the playoffs are now and all that kind of stuff, how the cars have changed. But for me, that was never going to bother me because I was always going to love the sport.
Right.
So I'm willing to stay, and all with the EV talk, everything. Even if I'm not a fan of it, I'm going to stay because it's been in my blood, and I love the sport itself, regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
And there's something to cheer for, too. Like, even if, let's say, worst case scenario, I don't think they're ever going to go to EV. I just don't think it's going to happen. But you got your boy now, Chase Briscoe, who's doing great things at JGR. Before him, did you have like a driver that you were pulling for? Because usually when one driver retires or one driver leaves, there's another one. And I know you were a Corey LaJoie fan before, and we alluded to on the Stacking Pennies podcast thing. Did you have a driver before Corey and before Chase? Who was your first favorite driver? Where did that come from?
So I was a big Kevin Harvick guy, and I was 2001. I'm trying to do math in my head. I was like 5 or 6 years old when Dale passed away. I wasn't old enough to really understand what happened, but I knew, obviously it wasn't good. My grandfather was upset. Everybody, that was back when they used to have the VHS tapes. They would record the race.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure my grandmother still has the tape of that Daytona 500. But after that, watched back and forth. Didn't really have anybody. Like, I was just watching for the sport. Now, I always thought, like, cars were cool. I was like, oh, that car is sick. Like, one of the weirdest ones was the Dale Jarrett UPS car. Okay. I don't know what about it, but it was just the white and the brown. It meshed, like, so well to me. I love the Steve Park Pennzoil car. The yellow and with the black stripes was just so iconic. But I think what ended up gravitating to me was the 29 Goodwrench Kevin Harvick Monte Carlo. With how they had, like, the fins, the blades, all that stuff. And even his Busch Series stuff when he had Reese's, like the orange, it just popped.
And that Elvis diecast, that's like $12,000 right now.
Oh my god, insane.
And that's cool too with the diecast. Like, you go and see, the tents that they're selling and all the diecasts have like really cool like emblems on it. Like one will have like the Reese's, some will have like Oreos on, or like it'll be something cool on it. It's really neat.
And it's cool as like there's the collector market for it too, where it's like, oh, this guy's my favorite driver. I'm only going to collect his stuff, everything like that. But then there's people that go and they can't afford what they cost now because of everything going on.
Ridiculous.
Like almost like $85 to like $110 depending on it. And the gypsy tents are cool because for like if you would take like your son up and he's like, oh dad, this car is cool. You can get one for like $45 of like just a note like Bailey Curry or Josh Williams, someone, and the kids just enjoy having the car. Right. And I had like a bunch of them, and I was always taught, don't play with pop-ups cars. We'll buy you your own. And that's like been ingrained in me. I still have some of them, but it's so cool how everything, you can do so much with just NASCAR alone. And
the coolest thing right now, like you said, the Bailey Curry cars, like the more economically priced ones, for them to get to the kids, like Xfinity Series always has those autograph signings. So now you're going... And this car that you picked up, because it's in the budget, you could get that signed by a driver, and that's gonna cement a long-term thing. I mean, before Jeff Gordon was Jeff Gordon, they were racing in the Busch Series. Kevin Harvick, Ty Gibbs in the Xfinity Series, Tyler Reddick in the Truck Series. You're looking at these guys to build long-term fans. So, like somebody who's 15, 16 now was growing up watching Tyler Reddick in the Truck Series, and those trucks at one point were like $30, $40. So I'm sure they met them somewhere, and that builds that long-term fan, kind of
Right.
like you were.
Even some of the stars of today, like Ryan Blaney, he drove for Brad Keselowski trucks.
Right.
Tyler Reddick, like you said, Brad Keselowski trucks. Even Chase Briscoe driving in the ARCA series for no-name ARCA guys.
Right.
Showed up and he just was determined to win and won 5 races and a championship that year. And look at him now, driving for arguably, if not the biggest team in motorsports, underneath Hendrick, of course, but
Right.
one of the juggernaut teams. And just seeing all that stuff grow, and then seeing kids with the shirts on, or even older people that just like him because, or any driver for that matter, they
Right.
just like the guy because they're a good person, or and like the Chase Elliott fans, like God bless my mom, she's a Chase Elliott fan, but she was diehard Bill Elliott, and you've known this from talking to her, seeing her collection, and she just stayed with it. And there's nothing wrong with that because you're still a fan of the sport, and as long as you have those long-term fans that still watch, you're still going to have new fans that are always going to
Right.
be there.
And generationally, I mean, it's the same in wrestling too. You'll get somebody who I remember their dad, and now this person's here. So same thing with Dale Jr. The Dale Senior fans became Dale Jr. fans.
Right.
Bill Elliott fans became Chase Elliott fans. You see this steady progression of generations coming up,
Right.
and that's what's furthering the sport. And like you said, with NASCAR being a family thing, you have another family with Haunt. That's, I guess, where you and Alex got real close.
Yeah.
Your cousin Nick and them, all of them, through Haunt. Can you guys elaborate a little bit more on how you guys met, what you guys did with Haunt together? Kind of go into detail with that a little bit?
Yeah, I met you at Haunt, and we I think we talked for a year. I think it was one season we were just talking, and then we just got super close. Every time we would come in, and we would just talk, and and Haunt was the thing that we loved to do. So how did you get into Haunt, and what made the love for acting as a Haunt actor?
So with me, Haunt kind of started. I think I was up late at night one weekend, and they had back then Dorney used to have commercials promoting Haunt, promoting Halloween Haunt, and one of the coolest ones to this day. I don't know if it's their only one, but they did a few after that. But this couple was on Talon, one of the main coasters at Dorney, and they were on the ride, and all of a sudden the moon started coming through the clouds, and they looked at the moon, and they started turning into zombies, and they were on the ride, and they were ripping the straps off, and then it cut to being all you fear is here, the different pictures, and I was like, that's cool. I'm not old enough yet, but I want to keep this in the scrapbook in the back of my head to eventually do it one day. And 2013 was my first year in an attraction called Mansion House Hotel. So it was themed old Victorian style hotel, and as you go through it gets darker and darker, and you realize that there was a massacre that happened here with the bride on her wedding day, the groom killed himself, vice versa. And I was lucky enough to work in the front part of the house, which was the more welcoming, to throw everybody off, and then I had the privilege to work in the darker half of the room. So in my first year, so you had to adapt and everything, and I was like, a lot of people are it's too much on my voice, I can't do it, I'm not good at this, but I was one of the few that stuck through it, and recently retiring last year after 11 years.
11 years.
4 years. And I was lucky enough to do a little bit of everything. So I did the basic actor, that stuff. I did SKR rooms, which are skeleton key rooms that Alex remembers. They were more of a hands-on, so we could actually touch you in that one. I remember the cornstalker ones. You had to shove your hand up a deer's ass, and there was coffee grounds and Vaseline in there to find the key.
This is at Dorney?
That was 2017.
I think
2017 and 2018.
Holy crap!
And there was a church one that you had to dig through you had to dig through a skeleton with worms and maggots and stuff to find the key. More hands-on. It sold so well, and people loved that stuff. But because the majority of the other Cedar Fair parks at the time didn't do so well, when we did, they just kiboshed the whole thing, which is so horrible to me.
That's kind of like the gross stuff like that, the McCamey Manor or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
you guys ever heard of that?
I have.
It shut down.
It got shut down because that place was nuts.
I have no respect for that, dude.
No.
Any of the workers there, none of it.
It's more of that is more of
I wouldn't say
Essentially,
torture
Not
porn.
acting.
Yeah.
It's more of the torturing.
More or
than
less,
acting.
kind of where I come from, kind of like the backyard wrestling scene with like the light tubes and shit that you just don't
Yeah.
need, to the overextent of gruesome, right?
Right.
Something kind of like that. So before we get to commercial break, talking about Haunt a little bit, do you have a good story that you guys have shared, or do you guys have together? What's your favorite kind of
Oh, yeah.
story?
I mean,
of Haunt?
do you want a single one and then both of us, or how do you?
Well, what we'll do is we'll get one each, and then we'll do kind of one of you guys together. So, like, if you guys have a story that you were a part of, a story that you were a part of, and then one you guys did together. I know you were talking a little bit about one the other day, and that would be, I think, a good one for you guys to talk about together. But, like, do you have a story that you remember that you were a part of? It could be funny, sad, emotional, whatever, you know.
I mean, there's a lot of funny ones. You know, there's a lot of people that come through every year, and they're like, "Oh, we saw you last year," and they like show you pictures, and you're like, "Oh yeah, you know,
The
that's
guy
awesome."
drinking the beers.
There was a guy that would come through, and he would just be watching us double fisting these beers.
Oh,
Now the
wow.
beers are like $12 at Dorney.
Was this my boy Tyler Doyle?
It was not Tyler Doyle.
Tyler Doyle.
But
I wouldn't put it past him.
I would definitely give him a ticket to come through this year.
All right.
Absolutely, if we can get a hold of him.
I
he'll be
think I
coming
can
through.
make that work.
But if Alex has more funnier ones, he'll resonate with this. There's a lot of like kids that come through, like younger kids, and some like special needs kids too that come through. And when they come through, everybody kind of like avoids them in a way. And it's they pay money like everybody else to come through. Like
They
they're
should
there
get the
for a
same
good
experience.
time.
Yeah.
It shouldn't matter, you know, what happens. So me and Alex would go out of the way. We're like, you know, let's make these kids' day. Like, why are they different than this, you know, this group of teenagers over here?
Yeah.
They paid money to get scared just as much as them. So for me, it was a matter of trying to include everybody that paid to get in, because
Right.
we were working for them. Like, they paid money, they paid our checks, so we're gonna give them the best show we can. So for me, it was mostly the people, like the really good people that would come through, and just, you know, the parents come up and be like, "Thank you so much for taking the time with, you know, my daughter, my son, whatever." But I'll keep that one, because I got one in the back pocket.
Oh,
That'll
okay.
definitely.
But yeah, touch on exactly what he said. You know, it's really good to include everyone, and especially like, you know, some of the little kids too. Like, it takes, you know, to just, you know, get on your knee and just talk to them and just interact to them, and, you know, make the guests, you know, happy and give that experience.
Yep.
So
the one that you guys were talking about, is that the one you want to save for later?
Or I could dump it now. I think he'll
just dump
know.
it.
So
We gotta talk about it.
we have a friend of ours. She's a makeup artist and wardrobe seamstress, all that stuff. Sarah, and she came through with her husband Alex. We were just all talking, and she had a $5 kill bill. Now, for the people that don't work at a haunt, a kill bill is currency that you give the actors. So, like, higher ups will come through, random people will come through, and they observe you. And if they see, like, you know, if I slide up and like someone either like falls or runs away, and I get up good, do everything clean, they'll give you this bill, and you can use it for like stickers, shirts, you know, whatever, like embroidered haunt wise. Well, she came up to us, and it was me, Alex, and our friend Dakota, and we're all sitting there, and she goes, "All right, I have a $5 kill bill. Any one of you that can make me laugh first gets the $5 kill bill." Now we're whores for these, because we're like, we just need them. I don't even think we really use them, but we're just
working
just
for
want 'em.
currency, huh?
Yeah.
Working. So he goes one way. Dakota's standing there, like, not knowing what to do. And by the miracle, I think I was destined for this $5 kill bill. Lady comes through. I saw her earlier in the day. Lady came through with her son, and her son's on one of the leashes, because, you know, son's a runner. And something just clicked. I dropped, and I was being so nice to the kid. I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "You are the cutest dog I've ever seen."
Oh,
and I was just
God.
like looking at the kid, and I looked at the lady. I said, May I pet your dog? He's so nice." And I was just like looking at him. I'm like, "You are so cute." "Yes, you are." And I said, "Thank you so much. Have a good day." And I walked away, and I took that $5 in the pocket, and Sarah didn't know what to do.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's between that, forehead jokes. I mean, you name it. Hair,
you
making
name
fun
it.
of hair. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
It's being a clown. You can.
We could do
You can
2
be
episodes
goofy.
on it.
right,
yeah.
right.
Have
And
fun.
we're gonna dive deeper into this
Ooh.
season 2.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have a couple of big things coming up. You know, we have probably a couple of the Dorney people coming on too. We're gonna be talking to them a little bit more about it. So we're gonna get into a lot of these good stories. And we got a couple more stories that we're going to be talking about. We're going to do a quick commercial break real quick, and we'll be right back with some more with Approach with Caution. If you would like to become a sponsor for the Approach with Caution podcast Season 2, options start at just $3 per episode. For more information, reach out to us at approachwithcautionpod@gmail.com. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around to the Approach with Caution podcast. We're back with some more here with our guest, Cody.
Yo.
So we're going to go into a little bit more about Dorney. That's what you're doing right now. But where did you guys get your start at Dorney Park?
So I mean, it was just through haunt. I mean, I applied and became a haunt actor and just been acting ever since. And then me and you, we started you started building sets and stuff for the haunt and for entertainment. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of joined in and we just started building. And so when you started, what was that like for you in building stuff? Did you was it great? You had fun doing it?
Oh, I enjoyed the hell out of it. Coming from no carpentry background, a lot of the people I was with were like long-time contractors, like Rocky, Barry.
Yeah.
They've been doing this stuff for years, so it was almost good friend of ours, Brandon Ford, who lives down in North Carolina now. He I don't know if he's like partial owner, but one of the head people for Lake Hickory Haunts in North Carolina. Another huge successful mom and pop run shop. Haunt. Same thing. But me and him kind of were taken out of our element with that stuff. Making sure everything was cutting stuff on 45-degree angle to make sure it fits this way. How is this going to look at a distance? How are we going to safely secure this? All that stuff. So we actually took Mansion House Hotel down, which was kind of like a bittersweet thing for me since that's where I started, and then I was a part of taking it down. That all kind of came like full circle. But then we basically took a bare room, and they had the vision. They said, this is the map, this is the layout we want, let's make it happen. Set all the walls up, made sure everything was ADA safe, which is, for others that don't know, has to be 4-foot radius between the hallway for people with wheelchairs to be able to get through. Everything was set up. They walked through, higher ups walked through, said, this looks great, let's get the set dressing. So painted the walls, built some bookshelves. There was actually a place in, I believe it's Orfield, by the Burger King, by the old Parkland Middle School area. And there was this retired couple that wanted to open up a bookstore, and they ended up moving because plans fell through or whatever. And they had thousands of these books. I have 2 of them. One's from like 1789, and the other is actually a book of hymns from a Catholic church from 1884. And I have these, and I'm like, these are awesome. So we have all these bookshelves set up with books that we had to fire rate, drill through, and then set up to make sure, they weren't going to fall, any of that stuff. So there's a lot that, just the behind the scenes and setting the buildings up. And there's a lot that, is a scare zone versus a maze where we just put stuff out in the open for people and actors go around it. And then there's the mazes itself, which is just a standalone building that takes so much time to build. Like, I think we're starting, oh my God, like 3 months, 4 months ahead of time, just prepping the stuff to go out, and then once the park closes, it's game on. It's everything gets in the
everything
park.
Has to go. I mean, it's go time. You have to get it done at a certain time.
Yep.
So when you are building these things, you said like they had the vision, they had this and that. Do you guys get, like, for movies they do the screen boards or like the clips of like, oh, this is where the camera's going to be, this is what the shot's going to be, the test is. Do they come to you guys and say, this is the area, this is what we want this wall painted, this is what we want this to be? Or do you guys kind of have this is the idea, make it something?
So for the first one that I was a part of, it's called Tourist Trap, and it's a play on America's first serial killer, H.H. Holmes, who, I forget the year, but it was at the World's Fair in Chicago, Illinois.
I remember that.
Actually built what they call a murder castle. He bought an entire city block of people that were, coming to the World's Fair. It was, I think they debuted like the light bulb, or they were debuting electricity, like the first city to like have full electricity and everything. Actually, Pabst Blue Ribbon, that's where they won the Blue Ribbon at that state fair. So the Blue Ribbon they have on the can is from the World's Fair. And he was so methodical in how he did the stuff. He had new contractors in the building every week, so that way nobody knew what he was actually doing. He was a doctor. He went to a doctor or med school, and when these people would come in, he had asphyxiation chambers, he had hanging chambers, he would, watch you while you sleep, and there were all these different corridors that he would, get a hold of you. And then to try to avoid everything, he would have the bodies in acid bath, strip down to the bone, put the skeletons together, and sell them to the med school that he graduated from and different schools, because they all buy the skeletons for anatomy classes.
Yeah.
And no one had any idea. They, never questioned it, none of that stuff. So we took that idea and basically turned Tourist Trap into, a welcoming hotel, kind of like Mansion House was. And as you're going through, you're starting to see rooms, and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why is that there? Why does this room have pipes, coming out of it? Why am I seeing this guy, but the guy in the front was, all nice and formal, and now he's wearing an apron covered in blood and holding a knife, and there's someone on an autopsy table. So when you have something like that, you try to make it as close to historically accurate as possible.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the murder castle, or the building that was there, burned down many, many years ago, and now there's a post office in its place. So there weren't really, obviously, no pictures to go off of, no nothing. But the only thing we kind of got close was we made a whole storefront in the building. So when you walk up to it, it looks like a Chicago City storefront. You got your a pharmacy, bakery, all that stuff, newspaper, everything like that. So a lot of it, when it regards to historical stuff, they want as accurate as possible. But when we have another attraction like Cornstalkers, which is just like hillbilly hell, Pennsylvania rednecks, wrong turn style.
Yeah.
They say go apeshit. Make it your vision. We just need to keep all this.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So
we had a workshop on property, and we would just build and paint and create, and it was a lot of fun.
We built like a 14-foot tall pumpkin that they put fog and lights in to make it look like the pumpkin was on fire, like a giant jack-o'-lantern. They still use to this day. And I said, if that thing ever goes, I said, me and Alex are flipping a coin for that thing.
Oh,
We'll flip it, or we'll cut it in half, and you get the top, and I'll take the bottom.
See, I like the behind-the-scenes stuff. You guys know I'm not much of a jump scare kind of guy, so I haven't been to Dorney for the haunt stuff. But the behind-the-scenes stuff is incredible, and the amount of work that you guys put into it. You see it. I see people posting online pictures there. It's an incredible, you go over the summer to Dorney Park at Wildwater Kingdom, and it's such a change. Like you said, as soon as you guys close up for the season, boom, it's on to something new.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that gets put into it. So what do you do in your free time when you're not at work? What do you prefer to do outside of that?
Outside of work, right now I've been on a big Warzone binge. Come home, do some, cleaning if we have to, and I just sit, mainly because it's been so god-awful hot.
Miserable.
It's I would love to go out, do stuff. Closer to tell, you get more active. You have the urge to want to go to the gym more, do stuff, but with right now how it is, you just want to come home and just sit in the air conditioning. If you have such luxury, just veg out, kind of.
Because it's hot.
It's hot.
And you're out in the heat, too.
Right.
Because, when you're not doing the haunt, you said that you stopped doing the haunt because you work full-time now at the park. And so tell us a little bit about that. So you stopped doing haunt, and you're now working in the park. What do you do full-time there?
Yeah, so 2023 was my last year doing haunt. I ended it.
So sad.
I ended it being a slider in Carnival with my boy over here. But a part of me, I had a great opportunity for me and my wife. It was stupid to not take it. They offered me a full-time painting position, which going into it, I actually did seasonal work for Dorney as a painter also. But when haunt would come up, they would switch me over to haunt. And unfortunately, with the rules in play, you weren't able to do a seasonal job while being full-time because it messes something up either with pay or...
Yeah, benefits and stuff.
Yeah, everything like that. And I understood completely. I knew I was it was going to hurt. Last year, it hurt, going through, and I'm like, man, if only... I was I could be saying this now. I'm he just missed a scare. Or, it's little things where it's I'll be looking at my watch, and I'm oh, man, it's 6:30. I'm I should be getting in makeup now. Fridays and Saturday nights, I'm sitting in a makeup chair. It's little things like that. But lucky enough for me, a door opened I walked through, and I've been there painting. We do everything from when the train cars, like Steel Force cars, come off at the end of the season, if they need fiberglass work done, repaint. We do everything from climbing up the coasters, painting like Iron Menace. Last year, me and my coworker Greg painted the handrail all the way down from when they scuffed the stuff up. The road rally cars, which are like mini Shelby Cobras and like Corvette cars, we do all the fiberglass work, sand it down, put pinstriping, do the stripes, fresh paint, all that stuff. And even to just like the stores, like the storefronts inside the gift stores and everything, they're always hanging stuff. There's nicks in the walls. We'll go in, strip it down, new coat of paint, all that stuff. So a lot goes into that too, and not even just behind the scenes for Haunt, behind the scenes of how the rides work, how everything is painted, how marketing, all that stuff. Like, there's just such a giant team that nobody like really sees. People come to the park on bus trips. They come with their family, and they're just like, wow, this is awesome, and they see the workers, but they don't see what goes in to just opening one day, let alone an entire season. So,
yeah,
it's a lot that goes through that people don't see. That, and there's times like we would work nights getting stuff together, and there's trucks that go through that spray the paths with water. There's like leaf trucks that go by and pick up all the leaves. There's so much that people don't know, which is really cool. So, that's neat.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's cool, because that's how you guys got to be closer friends. And
we did a lot.
Outside of the podcast, I mean, we're good friends. We always hang out together, whether it's being filmed or not. Like, there's a lot of stuff we do. We'll go to Chili's. I know you guys go to Applebee's and stuff.
Yeah.
There's always stuff. We'll play video games together. We'll talk wrestling or racing. You guys will talk music. We all talk horror.
Everything, yeah.
One of the big plans we've got coming up, going to, like, we go to the Monster Manias and stuff. We're hoping to get to a couple more horror cons this year.
Yeah.
Things like that. Other stuff we do, like we go to the casino, check out Turning the Tide. I think you invited me to my first Turning the Tide concert. Where did you find out about them? Like, where did you find out for that?
So I honestly think we were there. I think we were celebrating something.
We might have been, and then we were just kind of watching the band. And
I was like, man, these guys are good.
Yeah.
And a family friend of mine, his mom was there. So we were like talking, and then she was informing us about the band's history and who's all in the band. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then we're sitting there listening, and I was like, man, these guys, for a cover band, they're really good. They're doing all genres. They're doing like R&B. They're doing classical rock.
Yeah.
They're even doing like rap covers. And I was like, this is crazy. And I think it was the second time we went. I was like, I'd like to have Adam come out. We don't see him that much because you were living over the Awful 100 by time. Yeah. And I was like, hey, we're going to the casino. If you want to come out, we'll be here. Me and Kirsten will be here. I wasn't sure if you were there the first time he saw them.
I don't think so.
But we were like, hey, we'll be here for a good time. Come out. And you came, and it's almost like clockwork. Every time they post, every time they post a Molten Lounge, we're there.
We always are. And it's like a tradition.
It really is.
Always go.
And it's cool because you guys are more musically inclined than I am, which is a nice thing about Turning the Tide, because like original songs I can appreciate. Like when we went to see Nidarian, you guys had originals.
Yeah, we played all originals.
And it sounds good. It's not my type of music. It sounded good, but like I can only judge on what I know. So when Turning the Tide does covers, I'm like, I know this song. Oh, that song was good.
Yeah.
The next song was good. And that's how I could base it. Now they've gotten into their original music. They got a couple of original songs. But my first impression of a band is always like, oh, the covers, because I know it.
Yeah.
So like, and then we went out to see your band a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's something that we do. We always get together. We hang out. We're just friends. But this podcast kind of came along, and it was just pretty cool opportunity. We couldn't turn it down.
Yeah, just talk about whatever. And
right. And we all have friends that we got coming on the show, and I know you guys are going to be bringing people on the next season.
Yeah, we got a few people coming on next season that we're excited about.
And it's cool to have a wide variety. Like, I know I've gotten a couple of wrestlers on. We just had Jenny on last week. And there's some cool stuff going on. But you guys have different people that you could bring on that's going to bring a different level. Like, you brought Tyler on about a month or so ago.
From Take the Name. Yeah.
Take the Name does our intro song. And now we're going to be getting the
Why won't you let it go, let it go? What we had was never personal, personal. I think you could better save your breath.